Have you ever heard that testosterone levels are lower in men today than they were in men 20 or 30 years ago? Is this true? And if so, what could be causing this? Could it be that dad and grandpa just had superior testes to all of us millennials and Gen Zers? Well, today we're going to find out by discussing what is potentially causing these lower testosterone levels in these younger male populations, as well as discuss some natural ways to potentially boost your own testosterone before jumping to say something like TRT. It's definitely going to be a fun one, so let's do this. So first, I do want to mention that we have done a handful of other testosterone videos that go into a lot of detail about testosterone production and its function. So I will link those at the end. But just in case you don't have time to watch those, let's include a quick review here of how the hypothalamus and pituitary gland, which you can see in this sagittal head section, and here's the hypothalamus, and here's the pituitary gland. And the hypothalamus secretes gonadotropin-releasing hormone, which then goes to the pituitary gland and tells the pituitary to secrete luteinizing hormone and follicle-stimulating hormone. Luteinizing hormone is the one we care about in this story because luteinizing hormone will circulate in the blood, and when it reaches the testes, it tells the Leydig cells in the testes to secrete testosterone, which you're looking at the inside of a right testicle here. The testes secrete the testosterone into the bloodstream, and once in the bloodstream, the testosterone will leave through the testicular veins, where it can then circulate throughout the entire body and have multiple effects. And some of these main effects are muscle and bone growth, influence on fat distribution, red blood cell production, libido, sperm production, and even influences mood. Now, it is important to note that testosterone naturally declines as we age, starting in our 30s. And again, this is normal. And earlier I implied that testosterone levels are lower in men today than they were 20 or 30 years ago. And when I said that, I'm not referring to this decline that naturally occurs with aging. I'm saying that if you took 30-year-old males today and compared them to 30-year-old males from 20 or 30 years ago, on average, the testosterone levels would be lower. So this means millennials and Gen Zers would have lower testosterone levels compared to their predecessors. So why is that? Well, there are a few explanations for this, and we'll cover some of these starting with what is likely the greatest contributor, and this is the increases that we have seen in body weight throughout the general population over time, specifically the increase in adipose or fatty tissue. Now, this increase of adipose tissue is greatly influenced by us moving and exercising less, as well as our diet. But the reason that adipose tissue can contribute to lower testosterone levels is that it contains enzymes, one in particular called aromatase, which converts testosterone into estrogen. And so more adipose generally means less testosterone and more estrogen. And you can kind of get a little bit of a double whammy with this because increased estrogen affects the amount of a plasma protein called sex hormone binding globulin. Now, what's interesting is that in a healthy male, about 97 to 98% of the total testosterone is bound to either the sex hormone binding globulin and to a lesser extent another plasma protein called albumin. And the other 2 to 3% of testosterone is unbound and referred to as free testosterone. And it's the free testosterone that is free and available to bind to testosterone receptors and induce the physiological effects of testosterone. And so the idea is that if you were to change or even increase the amount of sex hormone binding globulin, this could bind up and reduce the overall amount of the free testosterone, making it less available to bind to and stimulate the testosterone receptors throughout the body.